Just a few days ago, I got a call from one of my loan officer friends, and he is telling me that things are getting very ugly in the mortgage business. He told me that this time last year, the average loan officer was closing anywhere between 2 to 4 transactions a month. And today, he said that they're lucky if the same loan officers are closing 1 to 2 deals. Now, that's a lot of business that just has walked out the door. But on top of that, he's telling me that the loan officers are actually quitting. A lot of loan officers can't make it anymore and are getting out of the business altogether. Well, that's probably needed because there were probably too many that joined anyway. So now things are starting to maybe get back to normal, reach some kind of equilibrium. But the reason I'm telling you this is because aside from loan officers not doing the business that they used to do, also means that mortgage applications are not coming in like they used to as well. So I took his information and did some research, and it came to find out that mortgage applications, are you ready for this? Mortgage applications are down 70% in just the last 12 months. This time last year, 70%. So the makeup of that is about, I think it was 41% is for purchase, which means that 41% less people are applying for mortgages than this time last year. That's almost half the buyers. They're gone, completely eliminated. They're not even looking. They're not even applying for a few reasons. We'll get into that in a little bit. And then 87% of people have chosen not to look for refinances. So combine it together is about 70% of mortgage applications completely gone. Now, with that being said, one of the reasons why no one is obviously refinancing is because who would want to refinance into a 7% best case scenario interest rate? Right? You want to wait till the rates get down to 3s, maybe 4s. Right now, there's not going to be a lot of that because interest rates are just climbing and climbing and climbing. We might be getting a little reprieve in a little bit. Maybe we'll talk about that towards the end of this video, but I am going to be doing a dedicated video to adjust the CPI numbers, the inflation numbers, and how that's going to potentially affect the interest rates that home buyers are going to be forced to take if they're looking to buy a house, and what that means for home prices. So if you want to see that video, make sure you guys subscribe because that's probably going to be the next video we'll be dropping maybe later today or tomorrow. But if you guys have noticed, I am here in a new space, which is very exciting. If you guys saw one of my previous videos, I have been working on creating a new studio for myself. I recently purchased a home, and we're also, that video is going to be out very soon, just putting the finishing touches on that. But I'm very excited because this is going to be one of the first videos that we're shooting here. It's not completely done yet, so that's why you still hear a lot of echo and you kind of seeing this awkward angle that we have right now. But I really wanted to bring this video to you guys to give you some more information. So that's one of the reasons why we're seeing right now a huge capitulation of the market is because a lot of the people are just not coming in anymore because the interest rates are just climbing so high, right? But this is not about interest rates. This is about everything else that's going on around the market besides that. Next thing I want to talk to you about is since there is a lack of buyers because they're completely eliminating, they're gone, right? That means that sellers have to lower their price, and not just any sellers. I want to talk to you about right now is iBuyers. You guys may not be familiar with the term, but most of you might be. iBuyers. iBuyers are basically companies, either publicly traded or private companies, that come out and they buy homes, in large scale, pretty large scale, thousands of homes, and they buy direct from consumers. So that means the seller could sell the home to the investor, which is this company, right on their website. They don't even have to come out to give them an offer, right? Zillow was doing this for a very long time, and most recently, right now, Redfin has come out and said that they're completely done with the iBuyer business. The iBuyer business right now is, and I knew from the very beginning that it was going to be difficult for them. It's going to be a learning curve. And they're completely out of this now. The Redfin is. Zillow has been for a year already. And it's because they are bleeding money. They're not making money on the sale of these properties. And why is that? Because buying a home as an investor is not just something you could do with an algorithm, right? There is a science to this thing. And I remember when this iBuyer thing first came out, a lot of real estate agents and investors were nervous. But I knew that it was very hard for me to locate good deals, and I'm around them all the time. I could only imagine how difficult it must be for an algorithm to say, yes, this home is good, yes, no, this home is not good at this price. And the margins that they were giving themselves were so small that it was just a recipe for disaster. So for instance, when Zillow bowed out, they had lost about $1 billion in just bad investments. So they took a real big hit. And then you had companies like Redfin and Open Door. And they were still in the game, and they were just going to continue to pick up the slack where Zillow left off. OfferPad is another one. But the last 12 months have been a complete disaster. They would have been better off if they just took a break for a year. It's been a complete disaster, so much so that Redfin has recently announced that they are done. They're out of it. On top of that, they're going to be laying off 13% of their employees, right? This is not cool. I mean, this is the livelihood of a lot of people. This business is a tough one. It really is. It's not a game where you can just say, let the system tell you how much your home is worth, because the way they work is like this. If you go and say, oh, I want to sell my house, but I don't want a bunch of people walking through my place. I just want a cash buyer, and I want to close quick. I don't want to deal with a real estate agent, right? Because a lot of us don't want to deal with that nonsense. What they do is they go online and they just put the address of their home and they spits out an offer. Now you get the offer. Let's just say you were expecting $400,000 for your house. Maybe the system gave you $370,000, right? Maybe it gave you $370,000, and you're like, you know what? I'll take that because I don't have to deal with any nonsense. Then you go under contract with them. They finally come out to inspect your house, and when they do inspect your house, they renegotiate because they want a better price. But even then, I know from a strict principle from when I buy real estate that I need to be at a 65 to 70% ARV, after repair value, in order for me to be able to turn a profit on that home. Now, some people buy with less margins. I can't comfortably do that. They're really, because even with those margins, sometimes you take losses. But why I'm telling you this is because the slim margins that these iBuyers were taking have even shrunken even more, because as they were buying with 10% margins, 15% margins, well, the prices of the homes are just continue coming down, down, and down. So much so that now they're selling homes at a loss just to get out underneath them, because they feel that there's still more room for damage. Now, their model is not, hey, let's turn these homes around, fix them up, and then rent them. That would be a great idea, and they should have probably done that, even though they probably have a lot of money that they need to continue to redeploy. But I would have, if I was an investor that had my money tied up in Redfin or any one of these companies, and you came to me and said, hey, listen, would you rather take a 20% hit now, or would you rather us just kind of stabilize these properties, rent them out, get some cash flow going, pay out some dividends, and then maybe 10 years down the road, then we sell these properties at a big profit? I think I would have taken option B. I'm not sure what's going on at these companies, but it's been pretty ugly from what I've seen here. And additionally, what I want to tell you is that the sellers that are selling these homes, I know this firsthand because I also run ads to try to get people to reach out to me when they want to sell their property. So I know the sentiment of the sellers right now. I know exactly how they're feeling, especially now when the climate is changing and people are wanting to sell their homes quicker because there's so much uncertainty. The phone calls that I'm getting, the people who are reaching out to me, who are looking to sell their home to a cash investor, they're not ready yet. What I'm saying is that there hasn't been enough pain just yet. We're not there yet. The numbers that I'm seeing from people, they're still not understanding. They're still not looking to give their home away for an offer for a price that would make sense to an investor. I would say that 9 out of 10 people that I talk to, they still think that you can get iBuyer numbers. And that's going to change. That's going to change real quick because these iBuyers are drying up, and the last game in town is going to be the small investors, the mom and pops, or maybe the medium-sized family offices that are just going out there and buying homes at a much more reasonable number from an investor standpoint. Obviously not from the seller standpoint, but when you have this pool of buyers that's just completely drying up and investors are drying up, well, this is a rude awakening for a lot of sellers who maybe have their homes dilapidated or maybe are in a pinch and they got to sell quick. But for a lot of people, I recommend them to just go and list their home with a real estate agent because, a lot of people are looking for owner-occupied prices and they're looking for cash buyers, and it just doesn't make sense. So what I'm telling you this is because I don't feel like we're in a position yet where sellers have completely just given up. The news is not that bad yet. It's getting there, but it's not to the point where sellers are just panicking, and there's no panic sales going on just yet, unless maybe one offer there or here or something because of the hurricane we just recently had. Maybe some people are just like, I'm done with this. My insurance company is not paying me. Those people are a little more motivated, but for the majority, I'm not seeing it. I'm really not seeing it yet. And the last thing I want to talk to you about, which is probably one of the craziest things that I've been trying to kind of tie together, because recently there has been a huge meltdown in the crypto market. You know, you may have heard a lot about this, about what's going on. I tend to follow the crypto market very closely because I am a crypto investor. I'm very passionate about cryptocurrency. But I have been really looking at the situation that's going on right now with an exchange called FTX and its founder, Sam Bankman-Fried. And this nonsense, if you haven't really heard, I'll sum it up for you really quickly, but there's a ton of information for you to look up on your own on other videos. And if you guys want, I'll do a full-blown video on this. Just leave it down in the comments. And if you want to hear all about the details, I will make one dedicated to that if enough people ask. But what's going on with this exchange, FTX, which is basically like, it's like a Robinhood, or it's like a Webull, but for crypto. It's called FTX. And recently, they have imploded, and they filed for bankruptcy today, as a matter of fact. And why I'm telling you this and why crypto is so important to what's going on is because this major exchange that no one expected to have problems and is having huge problems right now, to the point where even the SEC is getting involved. They have such huge problems that it has caused so much uncertainty in the crypto space, where now you're seeing Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a lot of the major tokens out there, they're really dropping in price big time. A lot of people have been wiped out because if you had any money on these exchanges, the FTX, for example, or BlockFi now, that also is another exchange, lending exchange. If you had any money on these, and a lot of people did, then your money's gone. It basically evaporated. Like from one day to the next, it's been wiped out. And if you weren't that unlucky to have your money on one of these exchanges, well, you're feeling the reverse wealth effect, because right now crypto is really taking a deep dive. It's just tanking pretty bad in the last couple of days. We had a little bit of a break in the last 24 hours, but a lot of experts and myself feel like there's still going to be more pain because there's so much uncertainty right now in what's going to happen going forward. Because when something big like this happens, such as this exchange, this very well-known exchange, goes out of business, it doesn't just go out of business. There's ramifications and contagion, which means that other companies, and there's going to be other issues that are going to arise because of this. You know, you can't just, it's kind of like a domino. You know, you can't just knock one domino down and not expect any of the other ones to fall. Eventually, it causes, a ripple effect, and enough dominoes fall and it stops. But right now, I feel like it's just the beginning, and we're going to be hearing a lot more craziness. Now, the reason it's important to you, if you're in the market, is because a lot of the luxury buyers and a lot of people who have been buying in the last couple of years have taken their profits from crypto and they've moved it over to real estate. But right now, as crypto prices keep tanking and we're not seeing any kind of profits, as a matter of fact, probably the majority of investors that are in crypto right now are probably in the red. And I'm saying this because the majority of investors got in after 2020, and the price of Bitcoin in the beginning of 2020 was about $40,000. Right now it's about $16,000, $17,000. I can't really keep up, but a lot of people are saying that could even continue going lower. And as people can't pull out any money because there really isn't anything to pull out unless you're going to just throw in the towel, they're not using this money to buy real estate. So a lot of people are reporting right now that they're seeing less and less of these crypto millionaires buying luxury homes. And hey, that's probably just the writing on the wall. And it's probably what we're going to continue seeing for the next few months or next few years even, right? Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is inflation. And inflation, yes, we just got the reading, it was yesterday that we got the reading that inflation wasn't as bad as predicted, and the markets did have a little bit of a breather. But I'm telling you right now, guys, it's not as good as what it may seem like, because even though inflation is coming down, which is a great thing, inflation has been coming down, well, the costs associated to owning real estate has not. As a matter of fact, the cost of owning real estate is actually up. So what are we talking about here? I just spent the last 10 minutes telling you that real estate prices are coming down. Why is it more expensive to own real estate? The reason why is because owning real estate for most people means taking out a loan. And as interest rates continue to rise, and as rents also continue to rise, we're seeing that it's costing people more and more to have housing, which is going to be obviously a problem, because the more expensive it is, the more people are going to just wait and just sit on their money until prices either come down so ridiculously low that it doesn't matter that the interest rates are 10%. And can it get there? Absolutely, it can get to 10%. It's been double digits before for a lot of people who just entered the market recently. You probably don't know this, but majority of the times the interest prices have been over double digits. It's only recently that we experienced single digit interest rates, which is a blessing. And I remember when people used to say at 6%, when we first touched 6%, these are historically low rates, We got down into the twos. I met people who got interest rates in the twos, and that's not normal. But right now it's costing us more money because the prices haven't dipped down enough to kind of catch up with the interest rates, but they will sooner or later. They will dip down enough to make it more affordable for people to buy. Just because half of the buyers have completely disappeared does not mean that that's necessarily a bad thing, especially if you're an investor or you're thinking about becoming an investor. And if that's the case, I encourage you to check out the sign-up sheet that we have down below for our pre-registration to our real estate program, where I'm going to educate you guys and teach you over 20 plus years and 2,000 transactions that I've been involved in. I'm going to condense that down so you can learn that as soon as possible. And that's something you're interested in, I encourage you guys to check that out down below. So now all you have to do is check out this video right here. Thank you guys for watching. I love you, and I'll see you next time.